so much for having me, Melody and team. I'm super excited. Let me go ahead and just share my screen and we will just hop right into it. Okay, hold on. Let me minus that. Sent. There we go. All right, let me just minus everybody's faces. Okay, awesome. There we go. Okay, awesome. Thank you guys for having me. Again, my name is Elise Hanselman, and this is not my garden on the picture, just so you know. I wish it was, but that is definitely not my garden. Sorry, I got to move that. There we go. Okay. Never underestimate the healing power of a quiet moment in the garden. I love gardening. It is one of my passions. It's therapeutic to me, but I'm not, a master gardener by any means. I've just been doing it a really long time and I've just learned a lot of tips and tricks along the way. And I do everything chemical free, toxin free. And so I'm really excited just to share tips and trips that I have learned, along the way and hopefully give you guys some good insight, especially because we're like smack in the middle of gardening season right now. So as Melody said, I'm Elise Hanselman. I grew up in Detroit, Michigan, and that's where I started my doTERRA business. I lived in the suburbs of Detroit, and so I only had like little raised beds. I couldn't do much with my very small backyard. And then over 3 years ago, we moved down to Tennessee. And I moved here to be able to live off the land more, to be able to kind of homestead and farm and have a bigger garden and try to support my family in the way that we wanted to live. So now my garden, this was when we very first started it. So it was still a mess. It wasn't still very big, but I put this on here because my brother-in-law, if you guys can peep the little sign on here, he made me a garden sign for my big garden entrance gate. And he named it Gift of the Earth, which, as you guys know, doTERRA means gift of the earth. And that's truly how I feel about my gardening as well. And then on the sides, this is our basil from a couple years ago. It's not a basil plant, it's like a basil tree at this point. So it just got like, my husband is over 6 feet tall, huge football build, and that's how big our basil was. So you can see my daughter's face. Lots of pesto that year. We froze and made lots of pesto. Okay, so again, I'm not a master gardener, but I do grow a lot of stuff. We have a tree orchard with about 18 trees. I do melons and squash and pumpkins and watermelon and wildflowers and herbs and anything that I can. We're doing onions and potatoes. I have mulberry, raspberry, blackberry. We just every year adding on more and more. So those are just some of the pictures of just random things from last year, I believe. So okay, so just in case people are I don't know how seasoned everybody is on here with oils, and so if you are a brand new customer, I am going to do just a little basics on essential oils. I use them in my garden, and of course doTERRA's only because they are natural, because they are safe, because they are potent and effective, and they're so versatile. So I'm very excited I will share all my recipes and things like that. So let's just talk about the natural and the safety of the oils. Essential oils are extracted from plant parts. They're carefully curated to preserve all the potency and those specific properties of the oil. There's never going to be any pesticides, herbicides, any contamination, and they are safe. When we use them properly, they're very safe. And I obviously love having them as alternatives to synthetic chemicals. My pro tip that I tell people, especially, I mean, this can apply to any household type of thing, or especially gardening sprays and things like that. I would just really educate yourselves on greenwashing and make sure you read the labels. If you're not familiar with what the term greenwashing is, it's basically very good marketing where companies make the product look like it's safe and natural, but it is not. So they might put a green leaf on the bottle or name it something really like crunchy or natural, but just read the labels because a lot of them are really deceptive and they're not natural. And if you're trying to be chemical free with your family and your garden, then just always be reading the labels with that. Now, of course, doTERRAs are very potent and effective. Essential oils are highly concentrated. I love that I only need such a small amount, especially in contrast to other products that you may be using. Just to give you an example of how strong and potent and concentrated that doTERRA's oils are, 1 drop of peppermint is equivalent to about 28 cups of peppermint tea. So you can see when you get that bottle, a little bit is really going to go a long way. Now, I love our oils as well because they're so versatile, which you're going to see in a lot of my recipes. A single oil can be useful for so many different needs in the garden. And as we know, or maybe you're learning, you can use them for your health, as well. So I use them for the aches and pains that maybe I get from gardening. So we're going to kind of cover all the different uses that we can do for the gardening and beyond. Now, here's just a little bit of the science. All of the essential oils, they all are unique in the chemical compounds that make up that essential oil. And all these different chemical components are what give the oil very specific benefits. And every oil is different, right? They all have different amounts of these different components. But each of these chemical compounds, you can see on the screen, there's limonene and bupinene and terpenine. Each of those do specific things, right, for plants, for our bodies. And so that's why our oils have so many different uses because they're made up of so many different chemical compounds. Now, safety first. Again, I only will ever recommend doTERRA, and also, especially for gardening, I'm not going to ever recommend another brand of oil. So these recipes that I'm going to be giving you are definitely only pertaining to doTERRA. You cannot use another brand and expect the same results. Other brands will probably actually harm your plants and not be good for using them, in the garden and around your plants. So not all oils are created equal. Again, a lot of them have synthetic fillers. There's pesticides, they're adulterated, synthetic. Like doTERRAs are the only ones that I trust on my animals, my family, and my garden. Again, a little bit goes a long way. Sorry, there's like this little gnat flying all around me. I safely store them, so I always like to keep them. I just don't leave them out in the sun. I just keep them in my house, cool, dark place, if I can. Okay, so let's get started with some recipes for garden pests. Oh, and I want to tell you guys too, with my garden, this is just a disclaimer that I do. When you do organic gardening, you're going to have bugs. Like it's just part of organic gardening. You're going to lose plants to bugs. And I know not everybody can add extra plants to like kind of give some to nature and then you take some because some of them are going to get taken over. The oils are effective up to a point, truly, to be honest. But like if it's already infested, it just may be hard depending on when you're using them. And I'm going to address what Melody said at the beginning about burning the leaves of the plants. I've done that. So I'll definitely address that as well. How I do my gardening, I don't know if you guys have ever heard Back to Eden. That is the style of gardening that I do because it resonates the most with me of me trying to replicate nature the best way that I can to do this pure organic gardening. If you guys have not heard of Back to Eden gardening, there's free documentary. That's how I first learned about it. There's Facebook groups, and it's just a very specific way of gardening that just mimics nature in the best way possible. And it talks about the ground cover and how you kind of layer your compost and chicken manure and different things. It has been the best way of gardening I've ever done. So I just always mention that because there's a lot to the soil has its own microbiome, just like our gut has its own microbiome. So a lot of times when you are getting pests and different things that are happening to the plants, it's because things are out of whack in the soil. So just how you guys are going to, hear as you're learning about oils for your health, you want to balance and help protect and work on that microbiome of your gut. The same thing's going to go for the soil. Okay. And so we'll talk more about that. Okay. So for the garden pests, I'm going to be honest. It does say like 5 to 10 drops of each oil. I'm not a measurer. So if you are a measurer, and you need those exact numbers, then you can go ahead and follow this recipe. I just dump oils. I don't do too much. I maybe do, I guess 5 to 10 drops maybe, but I just don't count. So it doesn't have to be exact is what I'm trying to say. So for spiders, Peppermint is always what I have found to be a good one. Now, if you have all these, great. Blend them all in a bottle and try them. Or if you don't have all these, you just pick some of them that you have or one of them and just kind of work your way down. So there's no wrong way. You're just going to have to see what works for your specific garden and what does not. So Melody, here's aphids for you. Rosemary, cedarwood, basil, peppermint, and clove. Then we have beetles, rosemary, cedarwood, thyme, peppermint. Ants, I have always been with peppermint. It's the most effective that I have ever found for ants. I actually haven't even had to use any of these other oils. Mosquitoes, I'm going to skip because I have a different slide that I'm going to talk about bug repellent. Slugs, cedarwood and rosemary. So for slugs, what I actually also do is I'll spray the plants, and I'm going to talk about how we spray the plants properly, but you can also do little cans, or I'll cut like a plastic cup and I'll put beer in it. And you just set little cups of beer down by, like this year for our broccoli, and I'm growing Brussels sprouts. We have slugs all over. And so I had to use the beer, and they are attracted to the beer and they just fill up, they just die in the beer. So that is also really effective. So I'll do both. I'll spray it with oils and I'll do little cups of beer. And then you have the caterpillars as well. But I want you guys to notice, what oils do you see in almost every single recipe? The prevalent ones are peppermint and cedarwood. Are the top two, and then you're going to see rosemary and basil a lot. So those, if you're like wanting just a couple that will really hit most of the pests, those are the ones that I would get. Now, to talk about what Melody had mentioned at the beginning, I have completely burned my plants. I got a little crazy and I just sprayed everywhere, and the sun came out and it burned my plants and I ruined them. And I was like, why did that happen? The oils are supposed to, help my plants. So you want to make sure that you're definitely, diluting it with the water. But what I've noticed is that I'll add a little bit of Castile soap that seems to really dilute and emulsify and mix the oils all up. And it seems like they're more gentle on the plants. You also want to make sure that I start with spraying the base of the plant. And then if that's not working, I'll work my way up to the leaves because I don't want to burn the leaves. So what I suggest to do is do it in the morning, really early in the morning, or do it in the evening. You just don't want to do it midday because the sun and the oils, it will burn your plants. So mix with Castile soap, do it not maybe on like a cloudy day, or just really early in the morning or later on in the evening. The morning and the evening are when these pests are the most active anyways. So that would be just a good rule of thumb of when you're going to want to spray these. And just so you know, I will share all my slides with Melody. So if you guys want to take screenshots or just have the slides, I'm more than happy to share my PowerPoint with you guys. Okay, so here's just a good all-purpose garden spray. Peppermint, tea tree, lavender, rosemary, and clove. Again, take 5 or 10 drops of each oil, add it to your spray bottle. I should put on here, add some Castile soap. But again, if you don't have all these oils or you just want to try just one, peppermint literally just like covers all of your bases when it comes to the pests in the garden. So the power of peppermint, as we just talked about, it's good for the ants. It's good for most of the pests, but I also use it as a cool down spray. If you guys are not familiar with peppermint or have not used it in this way, peppermint will actually bring down your core body temperature. So I use it for fevers, hot flashes, but I also literally just have it mixed with water in a teeny tiny spray bottle, and I'll spray it on the back of my neck or my wrists or just kind of on my chest. And it helps cool me down when I'm like dying of heat stroke and the southern heat down here when I'm trying to garden. So that's another great way that I like to use peppermint besides just that pest spray. Okay, so let's talk about companion planting. Find out what the companion plant is for your vegetables, and then you can actually use the oil instead of that actual plant, especially if you don't have the space to plant all of these different things. So if you're not familiar with companion planting, for example, if you plant basil and tomatoes together, they really work well together when they're planted next door. They like thrive off of each other, and they help with resistance and different things like that. If you don't, again, have room, or say you're just growing tomatoes, but you're not doing basil, you can actually put basil into the watering can and just water the, well, tomatoes don't like to be sprayed, watered on the actual plant. You always want to do it at the base of the tomato. But basil is going to act the same as if you were to plant basil. It's going to act as a companion plant. So take a look at this cool chart. Again, take a screenshot or I'll share it. Here's some companion planting with oils. So rosemary is going to always be great with carrots. That's actually what I have right now. Fruit trees, you can do basil, marjoram, and melissa. Lettuce, you can do our cilantro or thyme oil. Nightshades, you can do peppermint, basil, oregano. Onions, you can do peppermint and spearmint. Peppers are marjoram, geranium, or basil. And then again, tomatoes and basil. So just mix whatever the oils that you're going to use to do your companion planting. Add them to some warm water and go ahead and just water your plants, with it. And you can, there's no, like I haven't ever read like how often or anything like that. Like I'll do it maybe once a week or, again, I'm not a measurer. I don't really have like a specific schedule. I just add it when I think of it and it really can help the plant as well. Okay, so I have two different slides of bug spray. doTERRA makes an amazing odor. They call it our outdoor blend. As you can see on the screen, it's called TerraShield. And you can get it in the oil or you can already get it pre-made in like a spray. I know there's people like me who are like, I am the worst bug magnet you have ever met in your entire life. And I don't believe that it's my blood type. I've been on a lifelong search of why bugs love me. So the TerraShield is not enough for me. I do use it on my chicken coop, on my chickens. I use it on my cats. It's great for animals. But for myself, I need a little bit more of a boost. So here's just a couple oils that you can add to the TerraShield if you are noticing that maybe the TerraShield's not doing it for you. We have citronella oil. If you guys could like do me the best favor ever and stop buying like those tiki torches or the candles that are citronella because they're all synthetic. We actually have a pure, real citronella oil that you can add in and make your own bug spray. But let me show you this. You'll actually see this little video. It's just a random video I made for YouTube a long time ago, but this is truly how I make my own bug spray. I take all those oils, which I'm going to show you. I take witch hazel and I buy doTERRA's continuous sprayer. I love it because you can like turn it upside down and spray everywhere. So I use peppermint, and for this I do measure 20 drops of each. So I'll do peppermint, lemon eucalyptus, TerraShield, lemongrass, citronella, and cedarwood. And then what I'll do is I'll do a little squirt of witch hazel and I'll fill the last little bit up with water. And I have been using this recipe for years and it works the best for me. Even down here in Southern Tennessee, it works really well. The other thing that I love is sometimes I think we forget that we can actually put our diffusers outside. So just plug them outside, especially if you have, oh, I thought I had mine here, one of our like USB rechargeable diffusers. Just add TerraShield, peppermint, any of these bug repellent oils, citronella, and put it on your patio. That's also going to help keep the bugs away while you're outside. So this is my amazing bug spray recipe. And I know it seems like a lot of oils, but for me, I have to use it because they just love me. Okay, so here's a fun, just little oil tip. Dill attracts ladybugs. And every time I see ladybugs in my garden, I'm like, yes, because they eat small garden pests such as, Melody, aphids and spider mites. What I've actually done before, I homeschool and my daughters, anyway, so I don't know if you guys have ever seen, you can like buy ladybug kits and stuff and like grow them and then release them. I will do that and put them in my garden. But I know dill is not an oil we sell all the time. I'm like praying doTERRA will re-release it again as like a limited time offer. So I was debating on putting this slide in there because I know that you can't buy it, but you can plant dill, or whenever you see this release, just remember Elise told you that it's great for the garden, okay? So I just was like, I might as well tell them so that if it does come out, you'll know one of the ways that you can use it. Okay, so this is a really cool thing, especially again if you don't have room to plant flowers for pollination. Um, wild orange. Wild orange is amazing to attract butterflies and pollinators. So you can just spray it around your garden. You can spray it on other plants. You can spray it on maybe flowers that aren't necessarily for attracting pollinators. But wild orange is always going to be best for attracting your pollinators, which we definitely need and want in our garden. Okay, so this is really, really cool. I don't know if you guys are familiar with mason bees. Mason bees are awesome because they don't sting and they are literally the best pollinator. Okay, so you can see this video. It's running. This was ours last year. What they do is they need to have water and a mud source. That's all they need. And so within 100 yards of where they're going to make their home, they need those two things. And what they'll do is they pack all those reed tubes with mud and they plant their little eggs in there and they just will flourish your garden. And then I have little kids who are scared of bees. So I love that they don't sting. They just do their thing and they are truly the best pollinators ever. My brother-in-law actually made me this little bee barn box, but I buy the reed tubes from Amazon. But you can find these on Etsy. I mean, you can just find them anywhere. I have this on here for two reasons. I think everyone should get mason bees for their garden, but also lemongrass attracts bees. So if you are doing honeybees, I have a lot of friends down here that do their own honeybees. Or if you're attracting mason bees, because we try to catch local, like I don't like buying bees from another area, like I want them to be local. So I catch natural swarms. So I just make a spray bottle with lemongrass and water and I spray it all on the reed tubes. And I'm not exaggerating. The next day I have mason bees. Like it's just crazy. So I love the bees. We love watching them, but lemongrass is really good for attracting honeybees or mason bees. Okay, so here's a cool gardener's hand soap. I know if you guys garden, you know the dirt and the grit and under the nails and the whole thing. So it's kind of like an exfoliant to really help get the dirt and stuff off. You can do white sugar, Castile soap, fractionated coconut oil, vitamin E oil if you want. It's just so, good for the skin. And then geranium. And you can combine all of them and just keep it in a jar or whatever and just mix it and use it before to wash your hands. Really good recipe for that. Okay, this is a very unique one. I found this out maybe 4 years ago, and I was like, why did I never know this sooner? I have a lot of wood and wood planter boxes, so we're always getting splinters. I think I saw it on like Instagram or something, you guys. I saw somebody say On Guard will help the splinters back out of the skin. And I'm not kidding. It's the most wild thing. I don't know why or how it works. I don't know the science behind it, but it's amazing. We use it all the time. So I'll literally just put neat, just On Guard right on the splinter, and it will help the splinter come out just enough to where you can just easily pull it out. It's really crazy. So On Guard for splinter removal. Who would have thought? Okay, so weed killer. So sometimes this works and sometimes it does not. I'm just going to be honest. Weeds are always, a battle. I finally just did mulch on my entire ground of my garden because I'm just like, I was just over the weeds and stuff. But if you have smaller spots too, especially, this will be really effective for you. You can do clove oil, vinegar, salt. A lot of people will add Dawn dish soap. This will kill grass. Okay, so just be aware if you're trying to do weeds that are mixed in the grass, you will, kill your grass. And then I also put cinnamon because cinnamon also works. You can add it in addition to the clove, or you can just use cinnamon. And I have used this and it works. For me, I just have too big of an area we have acres, and so I had to not use chemicals, but we had to like hire professional natural things to get rid of the weeds. But good for smaller spaces for sure. Okay, this one's really fun because we can have pests, right? Not just like bugs, but like animals, right? So animals, a lot of them do not like the smell of rosemary. I actually had to test this a few months ago, it probably was. We had this like this stray cat, and he was spraying outside of our like carport area. And if you guys have ever smelled that, it's awful. And my cats were freaking out. So I was like, oh, I remember rosemary because I've gotten rid of bunnies and different things. I've tried it with moles and it actually worked. I actually like dropped cotton balls full of rosemary down in the holes. Anyways, I've used it for a lot of different things, but I put rosemary on cotton balls and I went and just laid them all around where this cat was spraying and it never came back. And I was like, okay. So it worked really well. It's just a good thing. I've actually seen people put like rosemary, on cotton balls, put them in your garden beds. I've seen people soak like rags and with rosemary and like water, and just like mix it up and put the rags out. I've seen people like put like make their own flag poles and like put rosemary. So you can do it however you want, but it will help with some of these pests with animals. Okay, so natural cleaners for your garden tools. I used to not be good at cleaning these. I used to just like literally just put them back and they were full of dirt and whatever, but they can get bacteria and different things and you can transfer them from plant to plant. And so I am better now at cleaning my garden utensils. Tea tree is always going to be a must for me because it's antifungal. So it's going to help prevent the spread of bacteria if I'm like harvesting my broccoli and then, I want to make sure I'm cleaning things in between. But I'm obsessed with our On Guard Cleaner Concentrate. I use this on every surface of my home. I use it for stains. I use it for tools. I use it for everything. And I love that it's so cost effective because it's a concentrate. I remember, you guys, I'll just be honest with you, like when I first started doTERRA and I saw the concentrate, I didn't realize like it was a concentrate. So I was like, oh my gosh, I think it was like $12.50 at the time or something. And I was like, that's so expensive for one cleaner. And then I realized you're using, it can make 16 bottles and it comes down to like 80 cents a bottle for your cleaner. And I'm like, oh, that's actually cheaper than anything I could buy. But I love it. It smells great. It works amazing. And those are my two favorites for cleaning. Okay, this is one of my favorite things to talk about. This was back in Detroit when I had my little like raised gardens and I was trying my best. So my husband, God bless him, but I travel a lot for doTERRA and he has to take care of my plants and he's not the best at it. So I went on a trip and he decided to paint our fence. Like he bought like a paint sprayer, but guess what he did not do was cover my plants. Like he just literally sprayed my plants and I was so mad. And so I came home and they were literally like almost dead. And DDR Prime is the bring back to lifer plant rejuvenator. I don't know how else to call it that. So what I do is I will drop a couple drops, literally one or two drops in like a lemonade pitcher size, and I will go water the plants. This was 3 days after watering them with DDR Prime. This was 6 days after DDR Prime, after he almost killed them. And that's eventually what they grew to be. So this was one of our old school bottles, but DDR Prime, you guys, I'll show you another picture in a second. If you ever think that your plant is dead, please try DDR Prime first. The other thing I just want to this is what I think about. I'm like, okay, if DDR Prime is rejuvenating the plants like this, imagine what it's doing when you're taking it internally. Can you imagine how it's rejuvenating your cells and what it's doing for you and your health? Like, look what it just did for that plant. Like, I'm just like, oh, it's doing such good when I take it internally. So DDR Prime is amazing for that. Here's another example. Again, he forgot to water one of my plants. This one was a very finicky one anyways. I did DDR Prime 6 hours later, and then 8 hours later, it was back to normal. This has happened, unfortunately, with my husband over and over and over again. And I think there's maybe been one plant in 10 years that I have not been able to revive from DDR Prime. So I love this. Even if you just buy cut flowers or if you grow flowers and you cut them and put them in a vase in your home, I will always add DDR Prime to the vase of flowers because it helps prolong the life of those cut flowers as well. Okay, so here's again just a couple, like a gardener's survival kit. Peppermint, as you've heard me say 82 times, great for bugs, great for yourself. If you get too much sun, I actually had made this PowerPoint before they released the sun care line. So I used to just use lavender, but I'm going to talk about the sun care in a second. Terra Shield bug bites. Lavender and tea tree are always my go-to when I do get a bug bite. They take away the itch for usually most of the day. If not, like I'll do it once and then I don't need them again. I love those two together. But a lot of people don't know Purify is a fun little hack. Purify is our cleansing blend, but it's really great for bug bites. So if you have that, you can use that as well. Anytime I get skin irritations, oh my gosh, I have gotten poison ivy and poison sumac and all the poisons. I'm very susceptible. My skin is pretty sensitive. I actually used our diaper rash, doTERRA's baby diaper rash cream. Amazing for poison ivy. I don't have that on the screen, but I used that last year. I had a full body horrible reaction. But if they're minor, I will always use Correctex. This is like our natural Neosporin. And then of course I love Deep Blue, any of the Deep Blue lines because I do get sore. I'm older now, okay, and I do get sore working in the garden. I have a bad back, so it is hard for me to be bent over and pull weeds and do all those things. Okay, so I did add this slide in because doTERRA's Sunline, I'm obsessed with it. It is the cleanest sun care line that I've ever used. I love that they have different formats. I love that they're vegan and cruelty-free and non-nano zinc oxide. I actually have an entire PowerPoint of just the sun care line because I love it so much. So I can always come back if Melody will have me and do that presentation for you guys because there's a lot to know about our sunscreen. But I do use it. My kids use it. It's safe for babies, pregnancy, for our reefs. I love it very much. So if you're going to be out in the sun, I would definitely look into this. My favorite of the entire line is the After Sun. I have, my aloe plants and I used to make my own like sunburn sprays and things like that. But the After Sun works. It's so good, you guys. Like I will get so sunburnt and I will spray on After Sun and the next morning I am not. It's just amazing. It's my favorite of this line. Oh, here, forgot I put this in here. So this is not me. This is one of my customers, I believe, but it really does take the sunburn away. It's so nice. Even just any sort of skin irritations. I feel like if you can see on the screen what's in here, these are amazing things for your skin, regardless if it's a sunburn or just an irritation or what have you. Astaxanthin, prebiotics, probiotics, just really great. And it feels cool. I could talk about it forever. I love it. As I mentioned, Deep Blue, when I get sore from gardening, I like to add birch and I will add copaiba to the lotion. Those are my two favorite things to add in for pain and inflammation. Specifically for me, I have bad lower back and sciatic pain. I'm very, very pro chiropractor, so I just throw that in there because I do see the chiropractor. But in between my adjustments, I do like to use the Deep Blue and the oils. I put this in here because it's just funny and it's true. You're an adult when you get excited about a new plant. I don't know if any of you on here follow me on Instagram or anything, but I'm always posting hilarious plant memes in my stories because I just love plants so much. So, okay, so I think this is my last slide because I'm assuming all of you are on here, our customers. I always have to do a plug for the O Rewards. If you're not currently taking advantage of our O Rewards program, it is literally the best loyalty program of any company, of anywhere. I know everyone has an online subscription, almost every company these days, but ours is so generous. So if you're going to be ordering things for your garden, for your family, for your health, 100% you need to be ordering it on the O Rewards program. If you do not know, they do have a free welcome gift with all these really great samples that you can get for the first 100 PV order that you do. So I love that they send some of our top selling products that you can try. You also start to get all these amazing percentages back on your orders, and they come in the form of points, product points, which you can use to get free product whenever you want. So I love this program. They do free oil of the month, free shipping, welcome gift. You just get my customer texted me yesterday. They're like, I just get so much free stuff. I'm like, I know. So I love the O Rewards and highly recommend ordering all your gardening essentials on this program. Okay, that is it. So let me stop sharing because I can't see the chat when I'm presenting, and I will answer any questions that you guys have. Okay, Awesome. Do you guys have any questions?
Just lots of people excited about everything you just shared. I am like putting DDR Prime in my houseplants as you're teaching. This has been so amazing. Elise, thank you so much for your expertise. And yes, we would absolutely love to have you back to talk about the different the sunline and all the things you can do with it. Okay, we've got a question. Sheila, go ahead.
Hey, I do have a question. Gardening is kind of one of my big things. So, what about raspberries? Do you use anything on those? I noticed that I'm fighting off like not just bees, but yellow jackets and wasps sometimes. Trying to get back there to get to my raspberries.
Right. So I have not had to yet. And it might, my raspberries are planted completely separate from like my garden area. They're in a whole nother area. So that might be why, but I haven't had to deal with any issues with those yet. But for bees and hornets, have you ever seen, it looks like, do you know those like paper lanterns that you can get? And it looks like a fake hornet's nest. Have you guys seen those? I tried them for the first time this year. I literally bought them on Amazon. They were so cheap. They came in like a 5-pack or something. And they're literally like a paper lantern, but it looks like a big hornet's nest. So wasps and other things won't come near it because it's like the big dominant of all the wasps, I guess. I don't know.
Oh.
It works so good because we have a lot of wasps right outside like our patio door. And we hung a bunch of those up and we have not dealt with. I'm like, is this really working or is this coincidence? So far, it's working amazing. So that's the only suggestion I have at the moment for that.
Okay, I appreciate it. Yeah, thank you.
You're welcome.
Diane. Go ahead and unmute yourself first, Diane.
I tried before. So I have snails and I did try the beer. It did not work. But so how do I use the cedar wood and rosemary exactly to keep the snails out?
So, you know what I actually really like for snails? Do you ever use diatomaceous earth?
I've heard of that, but I'm just worried about putting chemicals in my garden, so I wasn't sure.
Yeah, it's not chemicals. It's completely natural. I use it around my chicken coop in my garden. It's really good for like, oh God, what are they called? Like the exoskeletons, like anything that has the harder exterior. They're not going to work for slugs and things. I buy the legit diatomaceous earth brand. And on Amazon, when you buy it from, make sure it's from that store. I don't like buying third party. They actually will send you a free ebook, which I'll just send you. I'll send it to Melody. And it goes in depth of what it is, how it works, how to use it. Earlier this year in my strawberries, I had millipedes. I literally couldn't harvest one strawberry. Every day I'm just throwing out all my strawberries and I was so mad and I couldn't figure out what it was until I finally saw the culprit. And I was like, oh, I'm going to do diatomaceous earth. And you just sprinkle it around and it is amazing for anything hard shelled like that. So I would try that first because it is natural and it works really, really well for any like the snails and the harder shelled, little creatures. Um,
Something else that's
those
helped
are the
me
questions. Yeah.
that I've been doing lately, and I don't know if it's coincidence or not,
Yeah.
but I've just been taking my eggshells and I've just been crushing those up and putting at the base of the plants. And it seems like I haven't seen any snails. Something's still eating some of my plants, but I have not
Right.
seen the snails as much. So, because I read something about they don't like to go over rough surfaces.
Yeah. Yes. Okay. So that could also be like putting it at the base of the plant. If you're gonna try that, what? Sorry, I was trying to remember your other question. If you are gonna try the oils, um, start again with the base, like so mix them with your water. I do always recommend Castile soap just because it really helped me not burn my plants. And I also feel like it's just like an emulsifier. It helps the oils blend together as opposed to just putting them in water. They don't, oil and water don't mix. So it does help them mix together. And I just do a squeeze. I don't measure it, just like a little squeeze of the Castile soap in there. They do make peppermint and eucalyptus Castile soap, which just also gives another added, repellent in there, but you could do any of them really. And so what I'll do is I'll start with the base, and if I'm still noticing that they're doing it, then I'll start to spray the leaves again, just the morning or night. You really got to make sure you're spraying underneath the leaves of stuff because that's just where they hide in the day. And so I do a combination of hand picking stuff off as much as I can. Um, and then spraying and just and I'll spray. I did see one time somebody, it was in one of my gardening groups. They literally have like one of those handheld vacuums for like squash bugs and stuff, because those are just a nightmare. And they look like a cheapy little, and they would just go and vacuum up all the bugs and then just go like release them or feed them to the chickens. And so I did that last year when the squash bugs were out of control. But yeah, so I just try different things. And it's weird because sometimes it'll work. And sometimes the next year I'm like, why is this not working? I'll have to try something different. So it is a little bit of trial and error, with that too.
Okay, so like about like an 8-ounce bottle and then like 5 drops of each of the oils and then a squirt of Castile soap.
Yeah, yeah, that
Okay.
would be good.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome. Or like, yeah, double it in a 16 ounce or anything like that. Oh, thanks, you guys. I'm just catching up on the chat. Do these tips and tricks for inside the house. I am getting ready for all. Yes, Connecticut, my office was on my balcony, so I used peppermint, lavender, citronella
And then
inside.
and then I'm gonna close out the recording and let's do our giveaway.